right, so I know my thread is very short right there. It's not going to be enough for me to sew the long line that I have to do next. So I'm going to pull this thread out and it becomes garbage. I'm going to take now and I'm going to pull myself another about 1.5 foot piece of thread. Again, don't get them too long because if they do, they start to knot up. And I'm going to just take and quickly thread my needle and tie a knot again. Notice I'm doing that. Don't tell anyone. I'm putting spit all over my thread. It's true. We do that. And then I'm going to take this, and again, I'm going to tie that knot. I'm going to fold that over. And how many times do you go through that loop? How many times do you go through the circle? You go through it 3 times. You've got to do it that many times so that it becomes big enough. And there, of course, is my knot. Can you see that? I don't know. Can you? And then I'm going to take and clip that. Okay? All right. Next thing we're doing is we're going to take and sew this. Again, I'm going to take this. Oops, before I sew it, I better mark it. So go through that same marking procedure. Got my 1/4 of an inch. I'm just going to put a couple of little lines here. And in fact, if you want to do it like a dot to dot, where you take and put the dots and then connect these, you can do that. But even though this is like I'm doing it 1/4 of an inch away, it actually is kind of rounded, so it's kind of hard just to take and draw one straight line. So we have to do it like this so we can get dot to dot to dots. I'll do that all the way down. 1/4 of an inch from the edge. 1/4 of an inch from the edge. When I sew that, you can see the blacks poking out, but when I sew it, I can take them with my fingers. I can go ahead and line them up better. Okay, there's my 1/4 inch, and I'm going to use that as a guideline all the way down. If you're sewing on the machine, you have a mark on the machine that does 1/4 of an inch. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start. Now, I'm going to pull these out. Let's get those together really good. I'm going to sew down, and I'm going to come up, and because I'm starting out, let's double check that that knot's good. I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to sew that first one more time, just to reinforce it. And then I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to sew that 1/4 of an inch all the way down. And again, I'm taking and using the fabric. Let the fabric do the work. Don't make the needle do the work. And you're just going to go back and forth all the way down. You can have it all puckered and tuckered right here and gathered up. Keep the stitches small, but in the end they have to lay flat. These stitches are anywhere, they're probably about maybe 3/16, if you know that number. They're smaller than 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/8 of an inch or slightly bigger. But I got to keep them smaller, your mask will fall apart. Okay, go ahead and sew that all the way down. And I think that you're going to trust me. Oh wait, I want to show you when I come to the seam. Okay, keeping those edges even. Look at how that's trying to get off. I can just move it with my fingers. Oh, there we go. And again, I'm catching on those dot to dots that I've seen. Can you see that's my pencil line right there? When I get to the seam, I ignore it. I pretend like it's just like everything else. And sew right over the top of it. So right over the top of it. Getting all the way down to the very end. See how fast I can do this. And you know what I do when I get, oh dear, look it, there's the tail. I can take this and I can just pull it and that tail will come out. I'll pull up my needle so it's a little bit shorter. Pull that pin out so I don't get it caught. And then I'm off to the races again. All the way down to the end. Can do this, just have that material work back and forth for you. If you want to go straight down with your needle and come straight back up, you can do it. It's just that it's a little bit harder, and you can use the straightness of the needle to, again, I'm bending material forward, back, in just little tiny pieces. forward, back. And I can come all the way through. Pull that. Oh, there's my tail. It's all caught in there again. Let's go ahead and pull on one of the strings. If it's not that one, it's got to be the other one. It's the other one. And pull that on out. Make sure that's laying flat. And once again, we're to the end. So I'm going to take and I'm going to pull the thread again. Double check that that's all laying flat, which it mostly is. And then I'm going to take and tie the knot. And the way you tie a knot is you take a stitch, small stitch, come up and pull that thread till all you have is a loop. Then you're going to come through the loop and pull it tight. Take another stitch in the exact same spot, pull it until you just have one loop down there. When you pull it, pull it, pull it, come through the loop, exact same spot, bam, twice, you got yourself a knot. Then you're going to take and cut it about, oops, I got magnetic scissors. I'm going to take and cut that so it's about 1/4 of an inch long, and we're good. Now at this point, my friends, I'm done. And I'm going to turn this around now, and I'm going to do the exact same thing to this second side. So I'm going to take my pins, and I'm going to pin the corners. I'm going to pin these edges so they're exactly the same. I'm going to go through exactly the same procedure. I'm pinning that so the edges are all, this is going to be obnoxious. It is, but that's going to be where your nose is going to go. So it has to be a little bit not flat because your face is not flat. At least not yet. No one's flattened you. I'm going to go ahead and get this corner down here. Pin that corner. And I got one last little middle spot. I got another pin. I'm going to use it. I'm giving you 6 pins, and you can see that that's what I'm using here. Before I start sewing, I'm going to use my marker. And you're going to go ahead and put your marks all the way down. After you've got your marks all the way down, you probably need to get another piece of thread. Tie a knot on the end of your thread. After you've tied your knot on the end of your thread, you're going to go through and you're going to sew this exact same line. Now, students, I could take and show this to you one more time, but I'm going to do exactly the same thing on this side. Ooh, that's kind of funky, huh? But that's because it's not going to be flat. We're going to go ahead and sew this exactly the same way that you sewed the other side. Nothing fancy. You're going to tie a knot in the end, get a new piece of thread, tie a knot in the end of the thread, sew along this edge until you're done. And I'm not showing you. You're just going to take, you're not going to watch me sew it. It's too much excitement that you can't handle. I know. And I will go ahead and sew that second side, okay?